Harumph. Welcome back, friends. It's Anders. I'm happy to be here. I hope you are too. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we are gonna make a cocktail called the Monte Carlo, which is essentially a riff on a Manhattan, dates back to the 1940s. It's very simple. It's only 3 ingredients. You can make this a really strong drink. You can make it a very sweet drink. All depends on how you balance it. And honestly, when I have this cocktail, I will balance it a couple different ways depending on my mood. It's not your stereotypical December holiday drink in that it is not super sweet and desserty, but it can be. So let me explain by showing you how I make this. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for more sips, tips, and recipes. Let's go make the Monte Carlo to the bar. Well, here we are once again to talk about today's sponsor. Thank you for being here. Freya thanks you too. Today's sponsor is Original Grain. For the last 11 years, Original Grain has been making watches from reclaimed materials like old guitars, military ammo crates, and even whiskey barrels. For every watch sold, they plant 1 tree and have already planted over 700,000 trees with the goal of reaching 1 million. That's a lot of trees and a lot of watches. These are just a few from their whiskey collection. We talked about this recently. If you watched that video, hold on, let me see. We've got so many here. They also, Original Grain also collaborates with brands like Jack Daniels. This is one of their Jack Daniels watches. This is their whiskey espresso. It matches my dog, so that's a good one. My current favorite is this one, the Whiskey Black Rugged Auto. It moves around, it's got moving pieces. It kind of makes me look steampunk, even though the rest of my attire doesn't match steampunk. I like to mix genres. You know, be brave. Who cares? That's what I always say. That's kind of an ethos of mine. You can dress these watches up, down, sideways, however you see fit. And they make great gifts for that whiskey lover in your family. But if you don't have a whiskey lover in your family, that's okay. Whatever they're interested, there's a unique material and story behind each piece that they're gonna love. But I have to say, this is your last chance to save for the holidays. So be sure to click on the link down below and use code Anders at checkout. They're still running their $100 off sale, and when you use the code Anders at checkout, you'll get an additional 10% off. Time to save some money. Time to take care of yourself. Time. Thanks, Original Grain. On to the film. So here we go, the history of the Monte Carlo. If you have fast forward to this part because you really want to know where this drink comes from, we don't know. We don't know who made it originally, but first print was in The Fine Art of Mixing Drinks by David Embry. This is a good book. A lot of good recipes in here. In fact, I'm going to read this one for you. It has this like ribbon thing, so I can just go like that. See, that's me being prepared. Okay, the Monte Carlo. 1 part Bénédictine, 2 parts rye, 1 or 2 dashes Angostura to each drink. Great. Then he goes on to write, shake with cracked ice. This drink is a bit on the sweet side. It can be improved by adding 2 parts lemon juice and increasing the rye from 2 parts to about 4 or 5. Compare the Kentucky Colonel. So a little blurb here, but there's actually a lot of things to point out. First of all, I like that he says this drink is a bit on the sweet side. It's like a warning. And that might be why he suggests to shake it with cracked ice, but we're not gonna do that today. We're gonna stir this drink because that just works better. But then it says, it can be improved by adding 2 parts lemon juice, which turns the drink into a sour. It just says that he prefers this as a sour, but you are completely changing the style of the cocktail. I do think that's interesting because if you took that drink with the lemon juice and you added yellow chartreuse, then you have another cocktail that's a contemporary classic, one of my favorites actually, called the Monte Cassino. And then he also mentions the Kentucky Colonel, which we did on this channel as well. It's essentially this drink, but with bourbon. See, this is the thing with cocktails. There's a lot of overlap. You gotta be cool with just tweaking recipes, trying new things. So in that book, the ratios there were 2 parts rye to 1 part Bénédictine. It has become more or less the standard to cut back the Bénédictine. Most commonly what I see is 4 parts whiskey to 1 part Bénédictine. I today am going to be doing 3 parts whiskey to 1 part Bénédictine. And I'm sorry that I'm talking ratios, but this is bartender speak. I'm liking it a little bit sweeter because it's the holidays and I want a nightcap. Now the booze. All right, if you are anxiously awaiting to see what booze you're gonna need for this cocktail, that tells me you didn't watch the previous portion where I read it in the book because we're gonna use the same stuff. To make the Monte Carlo, we're gonna need rye whiskey, Bénédictine, Angostura Bitters, and a sense of adventure. We're also gonna want a lemon. We're gonna express some lemon oil across the top to help brighten up the cocktail. So the rye whiskey is the base. I like to use a higher proof rye to cut through the sweetness from the Benedictine. If you want, you could use bourbon, but then you're making a Kentucky Colonel. The Benedictine is pretty important here. This gives us the sweetness. It gives some herbal notes. You don't have to get a full 750 milliliter bottle. If you want, you can get a smaller bottle if you don't use it that often. And then the Angostura Bitters gives it a little bit of spice, which cuts through that sweetness and balances out the cocktail. With that, let's build. All right. So we're gonna stir this cocktail, grab a mixing glass, and into your mixing glass, we're gonna start with 1.5 ounces of rye whiskey. To that, add 1/2 ounce of Benedictine. So this is a 1-to-3 ratio, Benedictine to rye whiskey. If you wanna go 1-to-4, make it a little bit drier, then pour a full 2 ounces of rye, and then 2 dashes of Angostura Bitters, or 4 with a dasher bottle. Add ice and don't shake, because it'll go everywhere. Add ice and stir. It's freezing in here, so it's probably gonna take me 3 minutes to dilute this. It's a temperature joke. Probably didn't land. I'm gonna serve this on a big rock in a lowball glass because I want to sip this slowly over time, and that added dilution is gonna be nice with the sweeter drink. If I wanted to have this drink served up, then I would probably dry it out a little bit and go with the 4-to-1 ratio. All right, grab a lowball glass, drop in an ice lump, strain the cocktail into the glass, and express lemon oil across the top. There we go. Hit the sides. I'm not even gonna garnish with it. I'm gonna have it like this. This suits me. Ladies and gentlemen, the Monte Carlo. Cheers. Lemon on the nose, in case you were wondering. That's really nice. I like that a lot. I happen to really like Benedictine. I don't think it's too sweet at all. In fact, as this sits and it dilutes, it's gonna hold up because you do have that added liqueur to the cocktail. Actually, if I'm being truthful here, to me, it actually drinks more like an old fashioned than a Manhattan, because I don't have that vermouthy quality to it that you get from vermouth. And it's super easy, so simple. Oz, would you like to taste this?
Yes, please. Oh, yeah. I don't think it's too sweet at all.
Right?
It's really good. I don't want to go on camera because I'm wearing a full winter coat because it's absolutely freezing in here.
So as you can see, we're trying to pay the heating bill, but this is why we have sponsors. So thank you, Original Grain, for sponsoring today's film. Like and subscribe. Don't forget your merch. Landing pads. We actually have some new landing pads that are just posted. I don't have them here because I forgot to bring them, but I'll put up a picture. Try this cocktail. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I will see all of you next time. Cheers. What would you do if you walked up to a bar, and you sat down, and the bartender came up and he was this tall? Can I get you a drink? Yeah, I would show myself out.